Dear ladies and gentlemen, this is a special news bulletin on the storm and windy, rainy conditions over the Caribbean, northwestern Atlantic in the next 48 to 72 hours. The focus today is Hurricane Melissa, a system that is still maintaining strong intensity and continues to have significant impacts, even though it is gradually transitioning. According to the latest update, Melissa is still classified as a Category 2 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, with sustained winds of about 170 km/h and a central pressure of 967 HPA. Unlike when it swept through Jamaica, Cuba, and the Bahamas, the storm is now clearly accelerating, moving rapidly to the north-northeast at approximately 50 km/h, with its track near the Bermuda Archipelago in the time frame from tonight to early tomorrow morning. Before continuing to push farther toward eastern Canada, this means that the duration of gale force impacts at each location is shorter, but the intensity of gusts and high waves remains very noteworthy. The Bermuda Meteorological Agency has issued an urgent hurricane warning. People are advised to complete all bracing measures, prune branches, ensure electrical equipment, store clean water, check sump pumps, fully charge communication devices, and absolutely avoid going outdoors when the bands of rain and strong winds arrive. With a track skimming the island's west, it is possible that the island's central area will avoid the strongest core winds. However, sustained winds of 60-75 mph with gusts exceeding hurricane thresholds may still occur intermittently, especially at high exposed locations and windward shorelines. Total rainfall on the island is expected not to be large, about 25-50 millimeters due to the storm's quick passage, but wind-driven surge and waves of 5 to 7 meters along the coast will increase the risks of wave overtopping, localized erosion, and danger to vessels. Harbors and sheltered bays need to reinforce moorings. Fishing boats and small craft must absolutely not go to sea until authorities lift the warnings. At the same time, along the northern track, Atlantic Canada, especially Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, including the southern Avalon Peninsula, may experience strong winds at times, showers, and very rough seas, as Melissa accelerates and combines with an active extratropical low. Regional weather centers have warned of a scenario with waves 5 to 7 meters high along the southeastern coast of Newfoundland. With Halloween weather, many localities have proactively postponed outdoor activities. Where events still take place, caution is advised when traveling through intersections with power outages and no signals, covering costumes against rain and wind, and being wary of wet leaves making roads slippery. Daytime temperatures may be around 15 and 17 degrees, with humidity and gusty winds making outdoor travel unfavorable. Back in the Caribbean, after a fierce journey, Melissa has left wide-ranging impacts. In the Bahamas, the islands of Cat Island, Exuma, Long Island, Rum Cay, San Salvador, and Acklins recorded strong gusts causing roof damage, fallen trees, and partial power outages. Seas remain very rough, and wave overtopping along the coast may persist for another 24 to 36 hours due to lagging wind fields and wave directions. In Turks and Caicos, post-storm winds still maintain 30-40 mph with white-capped seas. Residents and tourists are advised to avoid all risky marine sports. Southeastern Cuba has seen reduced rainfall and gradually restored traffic, but some slopes still need monitoring for landslides as soil and rocks have not stabilized. In Jamaica, especially the island's western region, recovery efforts are being urgently implemented. Damaged power and telecommunications lines need time to be restored. Immediate priorities are clearing obstructions, checking structural safety, and providing essential supplies to households in heavily affected areas. In Haiti and the Dominican Republic, the impacts of prolonged rain are very serious. Flash floods, landslides, and deep inundation have caused human and property losses. Many villages and riverside neighborhoods are under great pressure. With soils already saturated, any additional rainfall in the next few days could exacerbate risks. Therefore, temporary evacuation advisories and avoiding crossing fords and dry streams in Spey continue to be emphasized. Alongside Melissa, an easterly wave disturbance is expanding into the eastern Caribbean, from Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to Martinique, Guadeloupe, Dominica, and farther north, such as Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Anguilla, thick convective clouds have begun to bring showers interspersed with thunderstorms and gusts of 40-55 km/h. With a broad structure, this disturbance does not yet show clear signs of a defined center, so the short-term potential to develop into a tropical depression is low. However, the meteorological impacts are fairly typical. Multiple intermittent showers, locally heavy rain in the early morning and late afternoon, rough seas, and rapidly reduced visibility in downpours. The advisory for these island nations is to arrange schedules rationally, prioritize activities during the dry intervals between showers, manage urban drainage, beware of water on road surfaces and gusts when operating two-wheeled vehicles. For Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, after many days of sultry heat, convective clouds will intensify again from tomorrow, bringing showers that will ease temperatures but simultaneously increase the risk of rapid urban flooding in low-lying areas. In Central America, the equatorial trough, also known as the monsoon trough, continues to be active along Panama and Costa Rica. Thick moisture combined with terrain along the mountain ranges has been creating forced uplift, resulting in prolonged heavy rain. Total rainfall over the next 3 days is likely to reach 100 to 200 millimeters, higher in some places, particularly on windward slopes. The risk of flash floods, landslides, and traffic congestion on steep passes remains high. People should avoid crossing fords, closely follow local advisories, and prepare contingency plans if usual routes are temporarily cut off. Looking at the 3-5-day picture, the large-scale wind field shows that dry air along the northwestern rim of the Caribbean persists. Thus, Honduras, northern Nicaragua, and the Yucatan Peninsula will generally see less rain, with only a few localized showers in the late afternoon and evening. The Cayman area is expected to see rainfall increase again at the end of the week as the Central Caribbean moisture band shifts west, raising thunderstorm probabilities from scattered to numerous, possibly with lightning and strong gusts. The central and northern Bahamas will see showers return in bands as moisture trails behind Melissa as it moves farther north. However, rainfall intensity is not forecast to be too great, mainly intermittent bands of rain interspersed with dry intervals. Jamaica and southeastern Cuba, after a brief lull, may also receive convective bands along this moisture, particularly on Sunday, as lower to mid-level humidity rises quickly over still warm sea surface temperatures. For Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, and lower latitude islands, rainfall is likely to peak from Friday to Saturday morning and then decrease, shifting to broken showers with brief sunny spells during the day. Regarding seas and waves, swell generated by Melissa will continue to propagate across a wide area. It is forecast that east-northeast facing coasts of many island nations, from the Lesser Antilles to the central Bahamas, may record increased wave heights of 2 to 3, even 3.5 meters during periods of strong winds and spring tides. Red flags have been raised at many tourist beaches. Repeated advisories are in place for the next 24 to 48 hours against swimming, diving, and using small motorboats, especially at rip-prone beaches that generate strong longshore and seaward currents. The early November outlook shows that as wave trains from West Africa nearly cease, the monitoring focus will shift close to home, that is, the Western Caribbean and the Gulf of Honduras, where the monsoon trough may slowly drift northward. Medium-range forecast models often have a tendency to inflate weak vortices and thick moisture in this region, especially when residual perturbations from late-season rain and wind remain. Therefore, a cautious approach is to track repeated stable signals over 3 or 4 consecutive runs before concluding there is any real organization potential. Nevertheless, even without forming a tropical cyclone, the northward creep of the trough is sufficient to bring widespread rains to the eastern Central American coast, western Cuba, and the southeastern Gulf of Mexico next week. In the opposite direction, the MDR of the mid-Atlantic is entering a typical end-of-season phase. Increased vertical wind shear, drier mid-levels, and lingering Saharan dust, all of which significantly reduce the ability to maintain strong hurricanes along the far offshore track. From a community response perspective, safety recommendations still need to be reiterated. In Bermuda, first secure windows, lock latches, bring loose items indoors, check backup generators if available, and prepare flashlights and power banks. During peak gusts, avoid standing near glass and absolutely do not approach seawalls or headlands to take photos of waves, due to the risk of being swept away. For the Caribbean island nations entering a rainy spell due to the easterly disturbance, residents should proactively clean gutters, clear drains in front of homes, arrange travel schedules closely to anticipated dry windows, and note that thunderstorms often flare up rapidly in the late afternoon and evening hours. In areas with numerous post-storm landslide points, local authorities are advised to place warning signs and temporary barriers and to limit nighttime travel on steep roads not yet certified safe. For maritime and coastal tourism sectors, this is a period requiring flexible plan adjustments. Sightseeing cruise routes and dive tours should be suspended or shifted to onshore activities. Cargo vessels and fishing boats should carefully check anchors and lines, prepare a second anchor at berths with shifting wind directions, and update marine bulletins every 6 hours to track the movement of strong wind and thunderstorm bands. Port authorities should consider scheduling cargo handling during calm wind intervals. Inter-island ferries should prepare flexible stop-and-go scenarios according to safety advisories. In terms of communication, avoid sharing unverified information about a new superstorm in the coming days without a basis from official meteorological agencies. Moisture disturbances shifting back and forth are normal in the late season context. The key objective is to follow updated weather bulletins, pay attention to hourly heavy rain and strong wind warning maps, and comply with local disaster response guidance. Figures such as wind speed, pressure, and rainfall are technical information. The important thing is to translate them into specific actions. Knowing when to stay indoors, when to reschedule, which routes may flood, and which coastal areas with strong surf should be avoided. In conclusion, the regional weather picture shows Melissa remains a direct hazard to Bermuda tonight and early tomorrow morning, then races northward, leaving large swells and strong winds for eastern Canada. The Caribbean cannot be calm yet. An easterly disturbance is bringing back showers and gusts from the windward to the leeward group, spreading rain to the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and gradually shifting toward the Central Basin over the weekend. The Caribbean coast of Central America continues to experience heavy rains due to the equatorial trough, maintaining hydrological risks in river valleys and on slopes. In a longer view, early November is expected to be a period of decreased hurricane activity along the far offshore Atlantic track, but the Western Caribbean, the close-to-home region, still needs monitoring because late-season characteristics often compress moisture and create weak vortices over warm seas. We will maintain a cautious update cadence, using official data and prioritizing practical recommendations so that you can be more proactive in daily activities and ensure safety for your family. This bulletin will end here. You may leave feedback about the weather where you live, difficulties that need information support, or detailed forecast questions for each island and locality. We will try to respond in the next bulletin. Do not forget to review your travel plans, reinforce your home if you are in a windy area, and prepare backup plans when bad weather notices are issued. We wish you peace and safety, and look forward to seeing you in the next program.